Hello everyone. So in our last video, we talked about how the National Assembly constituted draft. Why they constituted draft? Just to limit the power of the monarch. Okay. So now in this video, we will be discussing about how France becomes a constitutional monarchy. So France becomes a constitutional monarchy. Let's first understand the meaning of this word constitutional monarchy. See, with the National Assembly coming into the picture, it was not that monarchy came to an end. They wanted to end the monarchy, but not completely. See, National Assembly wanted to control the monarchy system. They wanted to limit the power of the ruler with the constitution, and that's why they drafted a constitution, right? So now the monarchy system was there, but now the monarchy, the power of the king, the power of the monarch, it was checked by the constitution, and this constitution was drafted by the National Assembly, right? And this is what we mean when we say constitutional monarchy. Okay, all right, so now let's begin. See, the National Assembly completed the draft of the constitution in 1791. Okay, so they completed the draft in 1791. See, in 1789, the French Revolution started, and after 2 years, they finally framed the constitution. Okay, now its main object was to limit the powers of the monarch. And these powers, instead of being concentrated in the hands of one person, that is king, now it would be separated and assigned to different institutions. So they wanted to separate the powers, they wanted to assign the powers to different institutions. And which were these institutions? They were legislature, executive, and judiciary. See, we already know who gave this idea, right? So I would suggest go back and read it again and note it down. Okay, now this made France a constitutional monarchy. So you can be asked this question that what do you understand by constitutional monarchy? So the constitutional monarchy means the powers of one person needs to be separated and assigned to different institutions like legislature, executive, and judiciary. Okay, and this is how you can write this answer from this paragraph. See, here in figure 7th, it explains that how the new political system worked. Now let's understand this picture. See, here we will start from this. See, these two boxes are there. Here, the first box is of active citizen and the second box is of passive citizen. Now let's understand. What do we mean by active citizens and passive citizens? See, when we started, we knew that the third estate people, they did not have any right to vote. Okay. But in that also, there were some people who were educated, they were richer community in the third estate. Now they had some right. Okay. So when we say active citizens, these citizens were entitled to vote. So there were about 4 million of a population of 28 million. So out of 28 million, 4 million were active citizens, means they could actually vote. What do we mean by passive citizens? They didn't have any voting rights. And who were these people? About 3 million men, women, children, and youth below 25. So active citizens, they were above 25. And not only this, why they were active? Because they were rich, they were paying taxes, okay, they were wealthy, they were educated, right? And if the person is educated, but if he is not paying tax, then he would come under the category of passive citizen. So at that time, for becoming active citizen, education was not the criteria. Tax was the criteria, wealth was the criteria. In fact, women and children were not, allowed to vote. In fact, they were not even allowed to enter the assembly as we had, seen last time. So this was about active citizen and passive citizen. So now forget about the passive citizen for the time being. Now, for this system, these active citizens, they used to vote. From these active citizens, which were about 4 million, see, from these also, there were about 50,000 men. Now see, only men are there. Okay, 50,000 men, they become electors. Okay, now these are electors, means they used to vote. Vote for whom? Vote for National Assembly. So these people would vote for National Assembly. Naturally, 50,000 men cannot run the National Assembly, right? It would be too many numbers. So these 50,000 men who were coming from these active citizens, they were electors, and these electors used to vote. And from these electors, there were this 745 members. They make National Assembly. Okay, so they used to make National Assembly. Now, see, this National Assembly, they used to control king and ministers. So, king and ministers were controlled by National Assembly, right? So, from these National Assembly, whatever the constitution they made, that in that constitution, whatever is written, king and its ministers, they have to listen to them, right? So this is how it was. But king had some powers, like veto power. He can say yes or no to the National Assembly, but it was just for the sake of the power. It was not so strong power. Means king had no say into the making of the laws or anything. So he had to accept. So this is how it was. Now, coming back to this point, that is judge. So these active citizens, they used to vote. Okay, so these active citizens, again, they used to vote for the judge. And if you can see here, this executives and legislature, they at least had some connection, but this judiciary systems, they have kept it separate, so that it remains, it doesn't any, there won't be any bias system going on, and that's why this judiciary system was separated. So this is how this whole system, constitutional monarchy, used to work. Now let's understand this. I have explained you with the help of diagram. Now let's read out this. Okay, so the Constitution of 1791 wasted the power to make laws in the National Assembly. So according to the Constitution, National Assembly would make the laws, which was indirectly elected. Now, why indirectly elected? See, these active citizens, they used to vote, they make electors, and then from these electors, National Assembly members were they were being elected. And that's why they were not direct, they were indirect, okay? Because the electors who were from active citizens, they used to some of them used to become the members of the National Assembly. That's why they were indirectly elected. Now, here they have again given this meaning, that is, citizens voted for a group of electors, and then these group of electors in turn choose the assembly. So citizens could not directly elect the National Assembly, and that's why they were called indirectly elected. So not again, when we talk about citizens, not all citizens had the right to vote. Then who had the right to vote? Only the men above 25 years of age and who paid taxes. They paid taxes, but how much taxes? Equal to at least 3 days of their wages, right? So their wages, that is equal to, just a minute. Yes. So equal to at least 3 days of laborers' wages were given to the status of active citizens. Means those men who were above 25 age and they used to pay 3 days of wage as a tax. So they were entitled to vote, okay, and the remaining men and women were classed as passive citizens, means they cannot vote. To qualify as an elector and then member of an assembly, a man had to belong to the highest bracket of taxpayers. So among the citizens, only among the active citizens, only those members who were highly, means who were paying very high taxes, they can become electors, and from them also those who were paying very high taxes, they used to become members of National Assembly. Okay, so this is how the whole system was working. So then the constitution, began with the declaration of the rights of men and citizens. So they had this document showing the declaration of the rights. Which rights? The right to life, freedom of speech, freedom of opinion, equality before law. All these rights were established as natural and inalienable right. Now, what do we mean by natural and inalienable right? See, these rights belong to each human being by birth, and these rights could not be taken away. That's what we mean when we say natural and inalienable right. It was the duty of the state to protect each citizen's natural rights. All these things were mentioned in the Constitution, because the Constitution itself began with the declaration of the right of men and citizens. See, here also man was given the importance, right? So that's what at that time this is how it was. Men was given so much of importance. They had mentioned this right, that these are the rights of the people, of the citizens, and these were the natural and inalienable rights, means these rights cannot be taken away from anyone, okay, from any human. You cannot take back these rights. So it was the duty of the state, means the France state, to protect each citizen's natural rights. Okay, in our next video we will talk about how they used some symbols. Okay, so that we will see in our next session.